Hey, you guys, Dev here at WeBuyHouses.com. Welcome to the Cash Offer Masterclass. It's time for episode number 70, estimating the cost of repairs with my good friend Joel Beal. I think you're over there, Joel. I'm not 100% sure how it shows.
I'm
I
over
think you're
here.
right there. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Deb.
Awesome. Well, the reason I have Joel here today is we want to go deeper into this topic of how we estimate the cost of repairs as professional investors. Now, in the model that I'm showing you guys in the videos, we're doing a very high level assessment of the cost of repairs. And we have to do that, or those videos would be about an hour and a half long. When you see Joel's model, you realize a little bit of work goes into actually figuring out what your budget is going to be for your repairs on a property. Joel, I think just real quick, I'm going to show them how my model works on the simple side, and then we're going to turn it over and look at, well, I think we're going to turn it over to you and look at how you do it in a more complicated, but probably more informative way. So let me share my screen, and I won't be in the right place. Here we are. Title screen. Oh, look, thumbnail. I see. I think I need to put us right. I can't do it. I don't know if you can see when I move us around the screen. Forget it. We're going to be on the screen a couple of times. That's our picture from last time. Estimating cost of repairs is what we're doing today. And as we jump into it, I just want to talk a little bit about how my model does it. Now, if I jump over to my model real quick, you can see I've kind of just set it up with a sample of a 2,000 square foot house that's worth 300 ARV. And everybody told us that, and oh, we're comfortable with that. And if it was in perfect condition, no repairs with a 70% discount factor, we'd pay 210 for that property. So very simple math in my model as we look at this. I have seven categories. It's a cosmetic category, a repairs category, and then what we call the big five: the electrical, plumbing, HVAC, foundation, and roof. They're the big five because if you miss one of those, you can really find yourself in trouble on a deal if you didn't think it needed a roof, or you didn't think didn't realize it had a big. I bought a house one time that failed on the electrical inspection, Joel, because of aluminum wiring, and all the outlets and everything in the house had to be replaced to pass inspection. And it cost $4,000 to sell that house to a fireman, by the way, who was comfortable with the risk, I guess. All right, we're jumping into it. So, seven categories, and just all I'm going to say, because I really want to spend time, let Joel talk to you. You guys hear my voice all the time. Uh, my cosmetic category is really anything about the appearance and function of the home. I've got a $10 per square foot variable in my model for cosmetic. But as you guys will notice sometimes when I'm looking at houses, I'll give it a one if it's mostly, if it's all interior. I might give it a 1.5 or even a two if I see a lot of exterior cosmetic that needs to be done. So my model kind of assumes we're fixing the outside's okay and we're fixing up the inside. And if that's not the case, I have to go above one on my variable in that spreadsheet. In my general repairs category, these are really anything that's kind of broken, doesn't work, that's not part of the big five. An example might be, lighting, gutters, the garage door opener, the decking in the back, just anything that's kind of broken and needs to be repaired is covered by that $6 variable. And those variables are applied to the total square feet of the house. And then I have my big five. And these are the variables that I have put in there based upon my experience and conversations with AI and all kinds of stuff. I kind of came up with this set: seven for electrical, etc., six for HVAC. If you look at how that works in my model, if I say full cosmetic on this 2,000 square foot house, it gives me 20K. And that would be a pretty typical budget to go into a house of that size and do, carpet and or flooring and paint and stuff like that. If you're going to get into full blown, replacing all the appliances and all that kind of stuff, it can definitely be above 100%. The one equals 100%, and then you can go 25% or above 20, 100% or whatever you want. So if I was to, to say, okay, general repairs, that's applying that $6 to the 2,000 square feet, you get how it's working. Here's the expense variables in my model. And the last thing I will say before I hand it over to Joel is as you guys use my model, you can obviously go in here and you just change these variables to something that you think makes more sense. Like one thing I noticed, Joel, is I think I even noticed it last time we talked is we were talking about foundation, and I would put in, okay, I need a foundation. And I think you would know I can do that foundation for less than that, And so sometimes I think, well, my variable's probably a little high on foundation, throw 16K at it. I mean, if you go out and buy it without having contractors that you may pay 16, but the guys that Joel or I would hire probably wouldn't be 16K on a typical foundation on a 2,000 square foot house. So that's really the risk of my model is that it's kind of simple. Like there's not a lot of visibility or, thought about the details. And so, Joel, what I thought we would do, let me just go back here. So that's that. What I thought we would do is I'll stop my share. And then first, before we jump into it, any thoughts about, any introductory thoughts about your model that you'd like to kind of talk about before we jump into it?
Well, my model is your model with a lot of expansion. I started mine off of a paper checklist back, I don't know, 25 years ago. And then a more from a paper checklist to what we have today. It's just a bunch of ideas put together, but we're really arriving at the same number, just maybe a little more fine tuned because the basic model, and I love your model. In fact, I have two tabs on my model, a simple tab and a complex tab. I changed my simple tab to look more like yours because I like yours. Um, to me, one is good enough to look at a deal and to determine whether it's worth driving to Anson, Texas or not.
Yeah. Episode 68. Go back and see that.
Go back to episode 68. Yes. I love that. I've looked at so many houses like that when I got done, they'd have to pay me to buy it. It's
Yeah.
a bad conversation to have. And rabbit trail. I won't go down this
Right.
rabbit trail. I won't do it. But if you're going to put real money down on the line, I want a little more granularity so that I can, on one hand, give the best offer I can, remain competitive. But I got to make, you know, put it this way, Dev. When I started working in real estate, I didn't have gray hair. I looked like John Stamos. You hear me? John Stamos. And now look at me. It's because I paid too much money for rehabs, man.
Oh my gosh. Uh, People thought I looked like Randy Travis at one point. I don't know if you know Randy Travis.
Well, I never looked like John Stamos. I just had John Stamos hair
Yeah,
at one.
yeah, yeah.
Them days are gone, man. So it's really important to price right. And look, math is math. It just math is math. I don't care what trends come and go in real estate. Eventually, somebody's got to fix the house and somebody's going to live in a house. And if those two things are true, numbers are numbers. And at some point, you're either positive or negative.
Yeah, yeah.
Simple.
Well, let's jump in and look
Yeah.
at your model, and we're basically just going to show them your more expanded model, so they get a sense of, and you know, I think most of these viewers can build spreadsheets and stuff, and we're
Yeah.
just trying to give them some foundational knowledge about how this is done. And I think in yours is going to be very impressive for them.
Well, it's really very much the same thing. My model, when we're done, gives you an offer to make on a house, and I made it for myself, but I'm also a Texas real estate agent. I work with other investors, and if I'm going to help another investor either find or sell properties, we're going to use my model because I want to make sure everyone makes money on it. So the first tab is just instructions, and again, when we buy a house, you've gone over this before. It's after repair value minus repair or after repair value times a discount factor, zero point 0.7, 0.75, whatever. And for me, that discount factor is not guesswork, it's based on my estimated hold time of the property. So if I'm going to hold on to property for up to 90 days, my discount, it's a zero point 0.7. So after repair value, um, times my discount factor, both of those numbers come from MLS for me, minus estimated repairs. So these are the instructions so that I don't miss anything. So that when I go to look at a house, I have all of this done. So I don't forget something before I show up. And then when I arrive, I walk around the outside of the house like a racetrack, counterclockwise.
Yep.
Then as soon as I walk inside the house, I make the same path, and I always go to the same rooms. I always make the same path. That way I never miss anything. So this is my checklist. This is my version of your quick model. There's very little to it. Very little to it. And then here's the real spreadsheet. And when we're done, I have an offer. Now this house we're looking at happens to be one of my houses. It's a rental. I just went through the world's longest eviction on that. That'll be a good episode. I should tell you about that sometime. Took almost 2 years. And now I have to do extensive renovations on it. I have to determine
Wait,
what I'm
two
going to
years
keep.
to do an eviction?
Unbelievable. They've changed Texas law starting January 1st to cover things like this, but every
Wow.
loophole imaginable. It's a whole other story. So when I get this house, haven't had any income for 18, 19 months,
Mm.
I have to make the determination, am I going to sell it or rent it? So I run through this model just as if I was buying it. So here's my house, and here's my ARV, and here's my days on market, here's my mod factor, and here is my checklist. And again, I walk around the house. So first thing I look at is foundation. And by the way, if you're interested, Dev, I did a video of me doing an inspection on a house. It's about a 40-minute video. Remind me, I'll send you the link to it and you can
Oh,
do it.
please do that. And for the viewers of this, I'll put it down in the
Okay.
description below.
I
That would
had
that would
I
be
had
really neat.
I
That
had
might be
Lisa
better than this video.
I had Lisa follow me around as
Yeah,
I
go ahead and watch the rest of this video, but then
yeah,
go check.
right. So you look for foundation issues, and basically you're doing a pier every 6 feet. And how much per pier? This is how much on the inside. This is how much on the outside. By the way, this column C right here, this might change a little bit depending on inflation, depending on where you live, but easy to change. So if I needed to put, say, 20 piers in this thing, a pier every 6 feet, I've just added 7 grand to my cost. So I'll walk around the outside, look for cracks like we know how to do for foundation. I look at the roof and I either use a drone or stand on my 2 feet. Don't ever get up on the roof usually. And do I need a roof? Yes or no? And if so, a 1,100 square foot house is going to cost me about 6,300 bucks for a roof. And same thing with paint, siding. So I make and the HVAC system, how big, and does it need cleaning? Does it need replaced? And now I'm done walking around the outside of the house. Now, if I go back to my checklist, I'm taking pictures as I'm doing all this. I'm taking pictures down the street, up the street, across the street, and then across the street, looking at the property. So I get a panoramic view. So if I don't have to make an offer on the spot, and this spreadsheet is designed to make an offer on the spot, you can run it on your tablet, spit out an offer. I can go home and look at the pictures, and I usually miss something. And now I walk inside and I put one for every item. So if I'm going to do a basic room renovation, which means take the drywall out, new drywall, I just put a one in here. This is a pretty accurate number. And we're redoing completely one bathroom, right down to insulation. Now in the kitchen, you'll see I have half a cabinet. I'm not really putting cabinets in here. I'm repainting cabinets, but to
Yep,
do
yep.
it right, it costs a lot of money. So like you did, I put half a cabinet. If it's a
Hmm.
huge house, like I did one on Perkins by Lake Arlington, I'm going to put two in there. Backsplash, faucets, granite countertops, appliances, just as I'm walking through the kitchen. And then I get into the bathroom. And am I going to tile the shower? Almost always I tile the shower, but the standard tub, for example, whether you're doing a pan or a real tub, they cost about the same. So you always get a tub, couple toilets for everybody, vanities, hardware. So bathrooms. So I did kitchen, bathroom. Now I'm doing flooring. If I need flooring, what kind of flooring and how many square feet? So 1,100 square foot house. I'm looking at whoops, $6,000 in flooring if I needed it. So
Yep.
this is really no different than your spreadsheet. And now that I'm done with that stuff, and I kind of skipped over a couple of things like the paint. We're painting the inside of the house. We'll get to that. So water heater need replaced, total replumb, gas line repair, or just a repair. That $2,500 is a made up number, but I spend $2,500 every time I call a plumber, so good enough. And what I do with this dev is occasionally, and I haven't done this in a while, I upload all my receipts for a property to a folder out on my Google Drive. And once every year or 6 months, when I have some time, I'll just use Chat GPT, dump all the receipts in it, dump in the property information, and just kind of have it give me some numbers to make sure that I'm still doing it right. But as I'm doing it, if I see that I'm starting to spend a little more on roofs, I'll just kind of manually adjust it. But you'd be
Hmm.
amazed. I only touch this about once every year or two, not a lot. So now we're down to the electrical outlets and switches and a panel and a full rewire and lamps and fans. And then we start talking doors and windows inside and out, including knobs. And then any demolitions. So I did 100 square feet of demo to a bathroom, which you'll see 100 square or 40 square foot of framing here. That should actually be 100. And how many dumpsters do I need? I do need a dumpster. And I'll do one of those too. So how much landscaping, any popcorn removal. And then down here, I just got three kind of holding spots. I type in whatever. So I need to fix the driveway, and I have some excessive yard work to do, goes beyond landscaping. And then we're going to power wash the house. And so when we're done, I estimate material and labor, 20,000, $65. And then I'll go back after we sell the house and kind of run the numbers again to make sure I'm accurate. But that's really it. There's about 70
Yep.
items on here. But again, walk around the house on the outside, look at all these items, walk around the house on the inside, paying special attention in the rooms that have water in them, kitchen and bathrooms. And then when I'm done, there's my number. If I'm buying the house, then option one is a cash purchase. So if I was an investor buying this house for me, there's my offer. I might start a little lower, but that's where I'm going to end up.
Hmm.
If I have a sophisticated seller who's weighing their options, I can renovate this house for you. And if I do it, this is going to be your net after you pay me. So in this case, because the house doesn't need a lot, it's actually, if you're willing to take the risk, you're better off letting me do the work for you and then letting me sell it for you. Or if you want to
Yeah,
just,
that's a great strategy too, because it what you're doing is you're giving the seller different options, kind of from easy,
yep.
the cash thing is a quick and an easy thing, but if they were willing to work with you and you did repairs and you listed it and you found a retail buyer, looks like they, in many cases could net more. Yeah.
And then as you can. And then lastly, because I am an agent, so when I go into these houses, my plan is to do the best job for you I can, whatever that job is. Hopefully, it means buying your house. It might not. Maybe I'll be your construction guy. Maybe I'll be your real estate agent. Now, for me, if
Yep.
I'm going to do the work, I'm also going to sell it. So I kind of tie those together. But sometimes people just want to sell a house as is on MLS. And for a lot of investors, this is the, oh, no, don't do that. I really don't care. In fact, this is better for me. I have zero invested. I'll make my 3%, not a lot of money, but I have no investment for my 3%. And I believe this house would sell for 175 as is on the open market. And that means your net's going to be 145. So as we usually find out, and this is interesting, as we usually find out, you're actually better off letting me just buy your house than screwing around. And it's, by the way, that's going to take, I had it right the first time. you're going to net 139
Yeah,
selling it.
you're gonna be months on market with it, especially right now with a product that's not, just crisp and nice,
That's right. So the good news is this house is by
It's a
UTA.
buyer's market in a lot of places right now, and they got a
Yep.
lot to choose from, and inventory starting to increase. And yeah, I was looking at one the other day on Zillow that was, it's 150 days on market,
Oh yeah.
and and it just is not competing against the other product that's on the market.
And and that's what's important about this. So this house is by UTA.
Oh
And if
yeah.
you look at the nicely finished houses, they're going in 17 to 20 days. But if you look at the junk, they're going in about 120 to 180 days.
And
And
I've
so,
definitely seen that, by the way.
yeah,
Talk about Arlington because we both live in Arlington
right.
and we both have invested in Arlington. And it seems to still be a pretty quick market there with a good product. Like a nice home priced appropriately is moving still in Arlington, Texas. But to your point, you come on with something if it needs a lot of work and you're trying to sell it on the MLS, you're going to be there for a little bit.
Yeah. So that's the deal in this house. So if I was buying this house from a seller, you're really better off letting me work on it. But then you hold a lot of risk here. So are you willing to risk 5 or 6 months and uncertainty for an extra $27,000? And
In that
actually,
scenario, would they be paying you up front for the work and then, with
yeah.
the hope that when they sell it, they net a lot more than what they paid you?
And I will only do this if I'm the listing agent because I want to make sure this house sells and I want it done right. So I've got a
Right.
checklist for marketing houses. You don't just throw them on MLS. It's work. But most what we'll see here, and this is something that's interesting, the deeper the repair is needed, the more these numbers start to flip. And once you start to get into serious things like holes in a firewall, updating the HVAC, putting on a new roof, once you hit any of the big five, now these numbers will start to inverse a little bit. And you will reach a point where you're financially better off just selling to me for cash. It may not look like it, but you're avoiding all these fees, all this uncertainty, and all this holding costs. And you're actually better off just letting me have it. So my quick estimate tool is here. My rehab worksheet is here. Honestly, most of the time, the two are very, very close together. But this rehab worksheet in detail forces me to walk around the house like a checklist on my little tablet and then walk around the inside of the house just to make sure I don't miss something. Because I'm
Yep.
telling you, I've done hundreds of houses and I've, I've missed things.
Yeah.
There, kill my phone there.
It,
I've missed turning my phone down for one
yeah,
thing.
no, it's easy. It's easy to do.
But
And
I
particularly
will,
like
I've
I'm just,
got,
like plumbing, you'll say, "Oh, well, that faucet needs to be replaced." And then you replace the faucet and you realize, "Oh, this is leaking in the wall down up under the tub." Now I got to go tear a wall out to get up under that tub and get back into that. But
and that's,
this is
and,
one of my projects I'm having a nightmare about right now, where
and
I had
that
to
is,
tear out a whole wall to get to that freaking tub. I was in a closet taking a wall out to get to a tub that was leaking under it, and you don't know stuff like that, right? When you
right
you're just
here.
walking around and you're
Item,
saying, "Hey, it looks like it needs this, needs this, needs."
item 14 that you're taking pictures of as you look under every cabinet and you just, yes.
Yeah,
And again, here's the thing. A buddy of mine runs a skydiving center south of here. And he's got a saying, it's better be on the ground looking up in the air going, man, I wish I was up there, than being up in the air looking at the ground going, oh man, I wish I was down there. And I'll tell you, Dev, I've had a few houses turn bad on me.
yeah.
So this is an insurance policy and this is serious business. You can make 30 grand on a house and you're just high-fiving yourself, but just a couple of items go wrong and now you're down 30 and it really, and I speak from experience on this, Dev, it sets a cycle up in your head. I've got to get the most I can out of this house. So you're resistant to drop the price. But the more you're resistant to drop the price, the longer it stays on the market. And the longer it stays on the market, the more it gets tainted. And the more it gets tainted, the longer it takes. And it just sets up this cyclone of no good, that and I learned this the hard way. And I've heard all the excuses. My business partner going, "Oh man, we got these crews that need to work," or the roofer calling me, "Come on, man, I need a roof today," or something, you know? And you feel pressure to keep these guys working because they're good people. But boy, I got to tell you, if you buy a house that's a dud and you get a couple of them that are duds and the whole thing grinds to halt, nobody's working. So you've really got to stick with
Yeah.
your numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's really great. I think this you can unless you have something else to say, go ahead and stop the
Yep.
share and then we'll just kind of wrap it up. But yeah, I think that was really great, Joel, because what you showed is that when you take like my simple model, but and you blow it out into all those points, it it gives you a process to follow. And what one thing I heard you saying is that you're consistently doing the same process, even going kind of the same route through each property you look at, so you make sure you're not forgetting something. And you need to be uh, making notations about what you're seeing as you go through. And so it is a much more detailed process than what we're going through in the videos where we just look at pictures and then say, well, it probably needs a whole cosmetic, but uh, but I do think, yeah, I think the simple model actually works pretty well. And it gives you variables that you, as the user of that model, can adjust. And so that you can kind of say, I know when I look at a house and it's pretty full cosmetic, all paint, all, popcorn, floor, etc. I kind of know what I'm getting into. For newer people, the a model like this is helpful because they don't have the experience yet to know. It's kind of like what I was telling you on the foundation, where I know what I can do a foundation for. And the last few times I've clicked one on my model, my brain has said, oh, I could get it done for a lot less than that. And so, once you start getting experience, it gives you the opportunity to tweak your variables. The other thing that I think that you've taught us in episode 50 and now in episode 70 is that if you can project how long you're going to hold the product from the time you acquire it to the time it is actually sold and closed at a title company. And that holding time affects your discount factor. For my model, I'm always showing zero point 0.7. So I'm not going into the complexity of figuring out what's the possible days on market on this thing. But, and one of the things I was thinking about the other day, Joel, is sometimes I think one of the things that people don't understand about our business is that they'll look at it and go, wow, 70%, that's a huge discount. It's not like there's 30% of profit. That 30% is covering the holding costs, insurance, taxes, all these things that are going to affect what you're going to get out of the deal. And so it's at the end of the day, we're not walking out of here usually with a 30% gross margin. It's more like 10 or 15 or something like that because
Yeah, 10 or
yeah.
15 is really what you're shooting for.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's good because, it beats what you could do with money otherwise. If you're only turning a 5% profit, well, you could go buy a 5% T-bill, Why
Right.
do all that work? Right? So you got to really be at a 10, 15, 20% gross margin to say this is a good area to put capital, you know.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But and then other people will want you to put their capital to work. Doctors and lawyers and banks and others will say, "Hey, you've proven that you can do this and you can beat 10%. Yeah, we'd like you to take our capital and go buy some of these things and do these things." Yeah. But I think this was a great explanation of that, Joel, and your model really shows. I almost felt like it exploded out my model into a bunch of detail.
That's all it is. It's
Yeah,
just 70 items instead of seven. That's it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it. Well, and I think also, you built your own model. any of you guys that, can make a Google sheet or an Excel spreadsheet, knows how to put a formula in a cell, you can do this kind of stuff. And so over time, you'll develop your own model like Joel did that, that you're familiar with and you're comfortable with, and it drives your process and gets you to, the answer that you're looking for, which is how much is it going to cost me to fix this thing and how much can I offer for it? Yep. Well, Joel, I think this is it. I'm gonna wrap because I think we've covered the topic exactly how I wanted to. Um, I I think for those who are seeing this live, episode 70 is going to come out, I think, the 2 days before Christmas. So I just, for those that are watching these live, Joel and I just want to tell you, wish you the happiest holidays, very Merry Christmas, a fantastic New Year. Well, our last episode together was 50, and we talked about real estate in 2026. You should go back and check that out if you haven't. And then Joel promised me he's going to give me a video where he does a walk around. So go down into the description and check out that video because I think that's the perfect follow-up to what we just did is now they can go down there and click and go watch you walk around the house and do this thing. In fact, I wish I could edit that in right now, but hey, go down and watch it. Any parting comments, my friend?
Man, I always love being on here with you, Debs. Good to see you.
Yeah, we're at 13, we're past 1,300 subscribers now.
Yeah.
The channel is definitely continuing to grow. I want this to be the biggest, channel on YouTube for helping people learn how to do real estate investing with no BS. We're not selling you anything. There's no course. The course is what I'm giving you. Right.
Right.
Yeah. And so, and Joel, to come and give us your expertise and share your spreadsheet like you did. These guys, I know they appreciate it. And for those of you that do, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like the video, comment, tell us something about you. We want to engage more with the community that's watching the videos, and we want you to be fully engaged with us by subscribing, turning on notifications, liking the videos, and commenting. And so that's, we're YouTubers now, Joel. We got to beg for likes.
There you go.
All right, buddy. With that, I'm going to kind of wind it down and wish everyone, like I said, happy holidays. We'll be talking to you soon. And also go back and look at 68 and see what you can get for $25,000 in Anson, Texas, a place that Joel knows very well. All right, guys. We'll see you later. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.